I'm at Oxford Symposium on Food and Cookery 2018, and this time it's about seeds. Oh, isn't it beautiful, this poster of the theme this year with cacao beans and pomegranates? It's gonna be 3 days with eating seeds in different ways and listen to presentations of papers with many angles. I promise you, some of them will be nerdic, and I have to choose to go to some of these presentations, and I'm excited.
Right. And then cacao, you all have an illustration in your packet of what cacao seeds look like. At the top, I like that. But large, bigger than coffee beans, if you haven't seen them before. But the flower, I think the delicacy of the way to get the seeds is emblematic, or a great point to ponder about how delicate the entire system is, and how very much reliant it is on the careful attention and knowledge and skills of those people working in those cacao orchards and working with vanilla. And I go into more detail in the paper, but it's this very sort of tender kind of care. And if you saw the cacao tree that's in the botanical garden here.
So the nativo chili is what's called a land race. So you have the wild chilies that came from Mexico, then you have the ones, anything that gets planted in one place over and over again, it becomes called a land race. And so a land race, what you do is, like, you know, maybe all of us here would be in northern New Mexico, we all plant chili nativo, but then what happens is, you know, we will share some seeds with each other. Or maybe I'm planting here and you're planting there, and all of our seeds will, you know, cross a little bit with each other. So it doesn't totally change the chili, but yet slowly over time, you know, we all, you know, get everyone else's genes. So what's happened is that you can tell the taste of the chilies depending on what area they're grown at because of the soil, and also the season of the chilies. So the further north you are in New Mexico, the peppers will be smaller, and the further south you go, the chilies can be longer because you have a longer season. And right now I can tell you that the chili that's grown in the middle of New Mexico is probably the best tasting chili nativo that we have right now. So I think that this all boils down to, like, you know, that we have ethics that are, the ethics of seeds have changed.
This is a carrot seed on the menu card. Different what we are getting, all of us.
It's carrot seed.
Oh! What do you think it tastes? Is it tasty?
It's delicious.
It's really good.
Welcome everyone to this session that is running on the theme of identity as expressed through food in different cultures. Our first speaker, Voltaire CANG, who I've known for a number of years here at Oxford. He comes and always presents something fascinating on Japanese culinary culture. Voltaire.
The sesame seed is very ubiquitous in Japanese cuisine, and then you have sesame dressing. Sesame dressing for salads is one of the most popular dressings in Japan. Well, I presented on the sesame seed in Japan, and it was a learning process, very good learning process, because you never really think too much about food that you find almost every day in almost every kind of food that you eat. And there are many interesting things that I learned about the sesame seed in Japan. One is that more than 99% comes from other countries, and very little is produced in the country. And what is produced in Japan, it has this value of that is added to it because they're made by Japanese in Japan. But those from other countries are actually better in quality and sometimes more aromatic, but people just don't realize this because, nobody really thinks too much about that.
That's a very interesting study. Thank you so much.
So the idea here, though, is that with the required inputs on a more physical level, we're talking water, sun, earth, and air and space, these are the inputs required for our kids to grow. So, good food citizens are kind and generous. They live in a way that builds community and preserves the traditions of the table.
It's lunchtime in Cathrines College, and the dining room here is designed by Arne Jacobsen, a Danish architect, and to me it's very special. I like the light here, and there's a good atmosphere, and we are having great food and great company.
So here we are for lunch on the Saturday in Oxford at the Food Symposium, and we actually have a tasting of SCHEUREBE, which is a seedling variety. It came from a seedling because our theme is seeds, and it comes from RHEINHESSEN, and it tastes like Riesling on steroids, remind you of grapefruit and blackcurrant and all wonderful things.
And we are having a very beautiful menu card here. Oh, what do we have? We have, oh, here it is. Hi, what are we having for lunch?
We're having flatbreads, the basic food, flatbreads, and we're having an Iranian ash, Persian ash, which is like a green soup layered with herbs and beans, and it's subtle and interesting. We're having an Armenian pate made with cooked kidney beans and walnuts and little garlic, which is completely delicious and more interesting than it might sound. And then a little drained yogurt, a little crunchy cucumber. The soup has fried onions on top and a little mint oil. And then for dessert, traveling to Southeast Asia, a sticky rice, black rice pudding made with coconut milk and scented with cardamom. A lot of seeds in there, a lot of seeds.
They're not doing it by scent, they're granite. All seeds are an indication of fertility. So,
my name is Katie, Katie Wong. My contribution to this year's topic of seeds is going to be focused on rice. And this can grow in Canada. Why should we grow rice in Canada?
I'll tell her about you.
That's, there's so many of us.
Can you tell me a little about why do you talk about rice from Canada?
My interest in rice, growing rice in Canada stems from being an ethnic eater and a lifelong eater of rice. My research is focused on trying to bridge the gap between ethnic eating and sustainable local foods. So this rice here is one of the only commercial rice produced in Canada, and it's a good example of what we can do with crops traditionally associated with other cultures and for their potential to grow in Canada and for them to be integrated into Canadian cuisine.
Great, thank you.
I'd like to start by asking you guys, how many of you are familiar with cucumbers at your grocery store? Like, raise your hand if you have a cucumber that you can buy at your local grocery store. Yeah, okay, cool. And before modern plant breeding, we had farmers and gardeners who were doing this work. I mean, on every farm, farmers, out of necessity and also out of economics, would essentially choose the varieties that they liked, that did really well for them, and save the seed from them.
In the bookstore you can find a lot of interesting books about food culture and of course also at this symposium about seeds. So here we have the menu. Oh, it's so exciting. Somehow I feel at home here at Cathrines College since the Danish architect Arne Jacobsen has designed this place. I'm in the botanical garden in Oxford, and it's a beautiful old garden with a lot of biodiversity. In the warm house you have all the exotic plants in the botanic garden, and here you have black pepper. And of course seeds is so important in the botanic garden, and here there's an exhibition where you are explained about how plants has changed the world, and that comes to money and culture and what you eat, like rice, sugar, pepper, tea plants, and a lot of other things. It all started with seeds. So it's fun to be in Oxford, Birgitte, huh? We are having a fun time.
As we say in Danish, vi har kun det sjov, vi selv laver. Det har vi jo haft i 2-3 dage nu snart sammen, Kathrine. And for those English speakers listening to Kathrine's YouTube session here, we're just fascinated by this beautiful crate. It's really stunning. It's a piece of art. It's really, really beautiful and very decorative in the garden. And the Brits are really the best at making a garden, I think. So in order to protect the cabbages here, the kale,
it's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And so I can see how a rabbit would love to chew on that. You know, this comes over and it's protected, I think, against birds and anybody coming by wanting to have a little snack.
Hi, thanks for watching my channel today. I hope to see you again.